It's exciting to see right now more than anything that within the stock market, we see there's a lot of changes that are happening. And probably the biggest change that we have is that the stock market has been booming. I mean, you look at what's happening across the board, and we are at all-time highs. In fact, right now, if you were to look at U.S. equity markets, climbed higher last month as the S&P really returned for April over 4%. So if you look at the index right now, we're up 18.25% for the first 4 months of 2019. It's given it its best 4 month start in the last 30 years. So the S&P has hit an all-time high, closing at 2945.83 last Wednesday, as the index has recorded a 22 basis point gain for the week. So the Federal Reserve issued a statement on Wednesday leaving rates unchanged and acknowledged that inflation has decreased below their 2% objective. In economic news, U.S. initial jobless claims of 230,000 matched the previous week's claims, but were higher than the consensus estimate. But the unemployment rate came in at 3.6% for April, the lowest level since 1969. So again, when you start to look at what's happening, we have booming growth in the S&P 500, all-time highs. Unemployment rate is low. Non-farm payrolls gained 263,000, was a large increase. They were expecting 190. Crude oil closed inventories, contributing to energy being the worst performing sector last week. So we've got some tension there with Iran, with the oil. So in the end, if you look at it overall, right now, things are unbelievably good. And it's a good time to be in this industry. I got started in this industry in the 90s. And when I got started, it was a time where, you really had a chance to, participate in the stock market, and everybody wanted to be a part of the stock market. Everybody saw that the market was booming. So it was an easy time to bring people into the industry. It was an easy time for us to be able to attract people, because when real estate is booming, everybody wants to be in real estate. When the stock market is booming, everybody's looking at their 401ks right now. They're looking at their 403bs, their pensions, whatever it might be, and they recognize that there is a tremendous opportunity right now in the stock market, and it's an easy conversation to have with people. A lot of you right now are in another career, and you're looking and saying, hey, do I want to potentially transition over to financial services? Do I want to potentially transition over to what we have to offer here at World Financial Group and Transamerica? And the reality is that there's never been a better time to be in this industry. There's never been really a better time when you look at the demand, okay? You see that 10,000 baby boomers a day are hitting age 65. As a result of that, there's an increased need for financial planning. You find that millennials are going to be 50% of the workforce. And you recognize that millennials have a situation where they've got to save for retirement. They're inheriting a lot of assets, but they really haven't been able to do what they need to do. You look at Generation Xers. The average Gen Xer has saved about $72,000 for retirement. They call the Gen Xers a sandwich generation, because essentially they're sandwiched between their parents and taking care of their parents and taking care of their children. So we find ourselves in a situation where, whether you're a baby boomer, whether you're a Gen Xer, whether you're a millennial, financial products affect your life in every way. And your career is being affected today by technology. We see that technology is replacing workers at a rapid pace. I remember, when I got into this industry 24 years ago, every time we processed an application, there was 2 or 3 people in the office that had to do work with it. Then it would go to a provider, and there was a team of maybe 10 to 15 people that touched that piece of paper to get it from the process of underwriting and submission, underwriting, and getting that case issued. Today, I don't need anybody in my office to process that application. Applications are submitted electronically directly to the carrier. The carrier doesn't need anyone to open up the mail. The carrier doesn't need anybody to input it into the computer. The carrier doesn't need anybody to scan it in. It's already done. And as a result, a lot of those jobs that maybe there was 10 or 15 people that were involved in processing an application, now you only need one person to do the job that 15 people used to do. Now, that's an exaggerated example, but there's a lot of that happening in the world. Technology, innovation. So we see that the stock market is at an all-time high, but because of innovation, there's many industries where we find that there's a lot of job insecurity. People are employed, but are they making the kind of wages that they want to make? People are employed, but are they having the kind of success that they want to have? Just because you're working at Starbucks doesn't mean that you're making the kind of money that you want to be making. You may be employed, but you may not be happy, right? And so these are significant things that are impacting, and so why so many people are looking at our industry.